Hey guys, Rich from Richmond Gaming, and welcome to a very special edition of the Weekly Bugle. It's the holiday special. We're going to be doing some awards. We've got some player recognition. We're going to be going through some of our favourite characters. We're going to be talking about all the things that you want to see in 2023. And joining me on this one is not just Quinn. We've also got some other guests as well. So, Quinn, first of all, how are you doing?
Me, yay!
The way that I like to see this is that the more people we have on, overall, as your eyes are seeing it, you're seeing less Quinn because he's taking up less of the screen.
However, some of that is replaced by Aaron, who will introduce next.
Well, that's a lovely segue. Aaron, how you doing, buddy? You okay?
I'm not too bad. All the worse for seeing Quinn, but
Aaron, it's lovely to see your camera in landscape mode as opposed to portrait mode. Thank you for joining us. And whilst he is to the right of you even, but he lives not too far away from you, although he's definitely not from that region. Jonah, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, thank you, mate. I'm really glad you invited me on for the tier list of tier lists.
Tier list of tier list video.
No, it's not a tier list.
It still hasn't happened, but it may do one day.
That will be like the last video that's ever posted on the channel. Is like the tier list.
Yeah, that'll be it, and then just me signing out. And I'm really glad that we managed to get on, and we've been trying to get him on for a little while onto the show, and we've eventually managed to lock him down for the Christmas special, which is always nice. Dr. Norbert, how you doing, sir?
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a big thrill to see your channel grow, and now having a chance to be on it at the end of the year is just a fantastic thing for me.
Oh, no, appreciate it. And guys, there'll be links down at some point. I'll put them down there to the Wob Warrior Protocols channel and also Dr. Norbert Games. They both do...
My favourite is the Wob Warriors.
The Wob Warriors, yes. They both do amazing MCP content. So if you haven't, go and check them out. Okay, guys, running order for today. We have got some award categories that we are we have all nominated, and some of them I have picked the winners of. Some of them you guys at home have already picked the winners of, and some others you guys are going to be able to vote live whilst we're going through each of these awards, and then whatever the result of the vote is what the result is, basically. So we've also got some giveaways that we're going to be doing throughout the show. We've got our Weapon X giveaway as well. And then we've got some special awards at the end that you guys have been nominating today as well. But let's jump straight in, guys, with the first award, which is going to be Character of the Year. Now, each of you have nominated a single character. So anywhere from January the 1st up until now, which I gather does include the Blob, Pyro, and the Weapon X stuff, as they are out now as well. But the first nomination was from Norbert, and it was the Juggernaut. So Norbert, why Juggernaut? What made you go for him?
Well, I mean, first of all, the model is just so striking. I just love the way that they sculpted it and how big it looks. It just looks so evocative of what the Juggernaut must be like if you were standing next to him amongst all the rest of the characters on the table. So that drew my eye in the first place. But since then, I just love how different he is from so many other characters. You know, there are long movers in the game, but the way he does his power slides all the time and can get around the table despite being otherwise short movements is just fantastic. It's just really an interesting aspect to the game, and also has become very popular as a result. He slots into a lot of different rosters, so a lot of different affiliations can get a lot of use out of him. So all around, I think he does. He hits the mark on all those different aspects.
Yeah, I do agree. I think first of all, on the model piece, and also some of the conversions of the Juggernaut that we got as well, that we saw in the community were absolutely amazing. He was probably my favourite model of the year to paint. not quite model for me, and we'll get onto mine in a little moment. But the second offering is Mr. Duggan himself, and he went with, and this one surprised me a little bit, but Scourge. So, Quinn, why Scourge?
One, I felt like I had to give Scourge something just because of how dirty AMG did him with the paint job. Like, good God, did they do him dirty? I mean, interestingly, he's sort of like the background member of his box, right? Because Heimdall definitely takes sort of center stage in my mind from that box, which is interesting because Scourge is real good, and I think he just gets left by the wayside a lot. I mean, I know you, Rich, like, have also enjoyed a fair bit of time playing Scourge. Like,
Yeah,
he just
absolutely.
does stuff. Like, he's just a real solid workhorse model, and like, he's just, I think, just outshined by some flashier pieces, even though he's just there doing solid work. Also, 3-threat character, 6 dice builder, pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think when we first read his card, I think a lot of people were a little bit underwhelmed by him, and I think a lot of people were looking at Heimdall as being the sort of the best character in that box. I actually am of the same opinion now. I do think it's Scourge. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I'm going to show the next model, and you guys at home have to guess who nominated this one. And I'll ask my audience members. I'll ask my co-hosts as well. But next up, we have Malekith. So Aaron, I'm going to go to you first. Who do you think put forward Malekith?
Well, it was obviously you, innit?
Quinn?
I think Norbert did it. He put 2 entries in.
Norbert?
I'm going to say you, Rich.
Well, there's one person I haven't gone to yet, is the Jonah. So why are you a filthy degenerate like me, and why do you love Malekith so much?
Just because I think he was such an excellent example of a well-balanced character that the community embraced with love. No, joking aside, obviously there has been a lot of talk about Malekith this year. He's just had the nerf to kind of bring him into check a bit more. He was kind of dominant and running amok everywhere. But I love playing MCP. But painting is my favorite part of the hobby, and oh god, this model is gorgeous. So he's not there for me because of his rules. I've never even played a game with Malekith, but I've played into him a few times. But I just absolutely love this miniature. It is fantastic. So that's why the big bad got my vote.
This is maybe I put so little time into painting Malekith, and it wasn't because I didn't want to. It's because I think the day he turned up, I think that evening, at about 8 o'clock in the evening, I was driving down to Walsall to play in an event, but I was also turning up at Aaron's to do a battle report, and I didn't want to turn up with an unpainted miniature. And it ended up being one of my favourite games of the year, actually, Aaron, that we had. But
I think why.
No, but the end to that game was absolutely crazy. So yeah. Next up then is X23 from Aaron. So after asking me, did Moon Knight come out this year? Did Black Cat come out this year? Did Hood come out this year? He eventually settled on X23 when I said to him, it's basically everyone from X23 onwards. And he went, okay, I'll have her then. But why X23, Aaron, other than it was the name I gave you as a character that came out this year?
Yeah, so not only is it because I couldn't think of anyone else, obviously. Now, coming away from it, I could argue Crimson Dynamo is another contester, but X23 I still think gets it for me, just because as a 3-threat character, I really think she shook things up. I took her to one event, last minute put her into my team, into my roster rather, ended up using her in every game. She was just a monster. She's just this character I've never heard of. And sort of she's what I imagine Wolverine was meant to do. So it was just super fun using her on the table. The healing factor a mechanic I'd not really used before on a character because, like, I hate Lizard. He's a terrible character. We won't talk about that. But yeah, X-23, she was just really, really fun to use and play. I know the people I played against weren't a massive fan of her. Re-rolling skulls under Web Warriors, but I thought
Was
it was
it her or you?
I think it's both, but I'm okay with that. So yeah, I really enjoyed her. I just thought she was a really cool character, and she came out this year, which is the requirement. So
Yeah, that is actually the first character that we had announced this year. So she was the first transmission of the year. So there you four guys to choose from. Let's put the poll up now. So you've got Juggernaut, you've got Malekith, you've got Scourge, you've got X-23, and you'll notice there that I have put Baron Strucker on there as well. I just found out this very instant that YouTube has a maximum of 4 entries per poll. So I do want to talk about Baron Strucker really, really quickly. Let's just bring him up here a second. And the reason why I put him in. Baron Strucker isn't a character that I have played with that much at all. I'm not a particular fan of Hydra, and I actually don't think he fits really many other places other than Hydra. However, the reason I picked him was I thought AMG did such a good job in mixing things up with his leadership. For me, leaderships had started to get a little bit stale in terms of, you get to reroll X under X conditions, or gain a power or lose a power, or, cost one less sort of thing. So for me, it was that shake-up of something different, something new that I really, really did appreciate. So the voting's open, guys. You get your votes in, and we're going to jump on now to Board of the Year. Terrain is a really, really important part of playing Marvel Crisis Protocol. And I think there's nothing better than turning up to an event where you can see that either it's the TO or individuals from the gaming club have gone that extra mile in terms of putting together a really, really good board. I'm not one that's too concerned about the actual rules in terms of, every piece of terrain needs to be ranged 2 away from each other and that sort of thing. For me, I'd rather play on something that's a lot more thematic. But Jonah, for you, what are you looking for when you're looking at a good board? What's the kind of key standout things for you?
Have I unmuted?
Yes, you have.
Sorry, my internet seems to be lagging. I just want something that looks cool, like you, Rich. Rule of cool for me, that comes with models as well. So for me, it is, I want a board to look cool. I want it to have a nice theme. It needs to be playable as well, obviously, because we have clearly defined rules. I think those other things take priority for me.
No, I do agree. I do like the rule of cool. That isn't for me. No, but obviously you host a lot of. I think you've got the weekly session, haven't you? Down in that there London that you do. What are you looking for when you're putting your boards together for people to play on?
I like to have a kind of a unifying look to it, that it's got a theme to it somehow, so that it all makes sense. But I particularly like tables where you could put the models on top of pieces of terrain, because I think that's so different from a lot of other miniature games, and it also helps tell the story. I love it when they're like Moon Knight standing on a big apartment building, for instance. I just love the way that looks. And just yesterday we were watching a game where Hulkbuster got thrown into the side of a bank, and I could just see that scene happening in a film.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking for.
Absolutely, yeah. Being able to recreate those big comic book moments, right? That's that and I think that's a really big thing for a lot of people. Aaron, what about you? Obviously, again, host a lot of events down at Board in Brum. What are you looking to do when you're putting the boards together for those guys?
So, again, a lot of what Norbert said hits the nail right on the head. You want it to be immersive. You want it to be something thematic in the sense that you can imagine it happening. A big thing Norbert touched on a little bit is being able to be on top of terrain, just because of the way cover affects the game and how influential it can be, but also having a good balance of terrain. where it's clear what each board is, to have enough, say, size 2s, enough size 3s. I don't follow the exact rules and recommendations of AMG, but I do think it's good to make sure you've got enough terrain for there to be a good variety, because one of my favourite things about the terrain in this game is being able to pick up and throw it. It's so unique to MCP. I've never seen it in another game. Throwing a car at someone's face is a good way to get them to leave you alone, and I'm all for it. So being able to do that is just wicked. And having these boards where you can just imagine these things being ripped out the ground, or these cars, being picked up and hurled. I just love it. It's great. So boards that both look visually interesting, thematic, and also are super interactive.
No, I agree. Quinn, I don't know if there's much more for you to say on the board front, but anything else to add into there?
I don't like obnoxiously tall buildings that inhibit my ability to see a quarter of the board. And
the one thing I will say,
I have sort of fostered a slight reputation for making size 5s into size 4s because of that.
I was just about to say, one thing to watch out with Quinn is if you ever play against him, especially when he's double hulking, he will turn to you and go, "That's a size 4 building, right?" And you go,
"Yes,
no, it's the NYC terrain from MCP. It clearly says 5 on the bottom."
If it's got an official sign, only because I can't get away with it.
So famous. Well, yeah, so we're treating that as a size 4, right? Because
Anyway, guys, let's jump on to the nominations. So again, these have been nominated by everybody on the call. And nomination number 1 is from Marcus Gill, and it is Murder World. Now, I am still yet to have the pleasure of playing on this board. I actually only managed to have my first game against Marcus this year, even though we've been to so many events together. But this is absolutely amazing, and I think I'm right in saying was stolen by one of the 3D printing guys who basically replicated it, which I gather is both annoying but also a real big nod to Marcus that he did such a good job with it, I gather. But the second nomination was another Marcus board, which was the Collector. Now, I first saw this at, I think it was Spring Into Marvel, and I just thought this was such a cool idea for a board. It looked really, really good. It played really, really nicely as well. It was really clear what size everything was going to be. And then lastly, we had one from Willie Spencer, which was the Incursion themed board. So using some of the official MCP terrain, so you can see you've got Thanos' throne there. You've got the kind of orb things. I don't know if anyone knows the real name of them from the Dark Dimension box. And then obviously lastly with the Sanctum Sanctorum. And this is one that you guys voted for. So this is the roundup here. And look, it may have changed, but at the time of looking at it, the winner of the board of the year was Mr. Marcus Gill with the Collector board. So I didn't mention actually at the beginning, but Marcus, you've won yourself a $10 gift card there for that one. So reach out to me at the back end of this, and we'll get that sorted for you.
$10 or £10?
10. I say dollars because like more people
currency.
From the US.
Yeah.
10 currency. 10 Indian
the currency happens to
rupees.
be rupees. Yeah.
At current exchange rates, $10 is probably a saving for Rich over £10.
Do you know what? It probably is. It probably is at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. So anything else to say, guys, about boards, about terrain? I know a few of you have had the pleasure of playing on Marcus's board, but Jonah, do you want to just give a few words about Marcus and why he just seems to knock it out the park, doesn't he, with his boards?
Yeah, so I nominated Murder World, which is actually my favourite of them all, but a few people already shouted out Marcus's name in the chat before we even put up the nominations, which shows you how well known his boards are. I think, he goes to a lot of effort. All of those pieces are clearly marked in the terrain size as well. He produces like a little comic newspaper that comes with the table that tells you where to place everything and what size there are. It's just that real attention to detail. His boards are really beautiful. He themes them. He goes that extra mile. So yeah, it could have been the Marcus Gill section, really, couldn't it?
I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he put some amazing boards together. And I also want to give Marcus a shout out as well, and Thoras as well, from over in the US, because Marcus actually donated a full board of terrain, enough to run a complete game, and it was from the Symbiote event that he'd run. So loads of MCP terrain that had kind of been symbiotized. I don't know if that's a word, but I think I'll go with it. But sort of the black goo hanging off the buildings, and as part of the charity event that we did last year, he donated that. So a big thanks to Marcus. Cool. Okay, guys. So we've got the results of the character of the year. So just to remind you what you could vote for, we had Malekith, Boo, we had X23, Juggernaut, and Scourge. And as you probably already seen, the winner of this one was the Juggernaut. So well done, Norbert. Everyone agreed with you. Norbert, as a sort of extra little thing, I'm going to donate £20 in your name to a charity of your choice for winning that one. So
Amazing, thank you.
Either now or at the back end, just let me know who you'd like that to be.
The Dr. Norbert Yacht Fund charity.
Do you know what? It's a great charity, and I highly recommend everyone to go and donate for it. But yeah, no, but just let me know on the once we've done who you would like that to go to. Okay, let's talk, guys, about TOs and the job of a TO, because it's sometimes a fruitless task. You put all your hard work and effort into things, and then you either let down by software, or the 20 people that you had who were definitely coming, 3 of them drop out, so you're left with 17, and you've either got to give people a buy or try and play the games. But Jonah, how important is the role of a TO, not just in Marvel Crisis Protocol, but just in the gaming world as sort of as a whole?
Yeah, really important. TOs keep the game alive, right? They're the people who get us into events, that get all of us here meeting each other. I don't think anyone here knew each other before MCP.
Nope, thankfully not.
I have to say, I put in 2 nominations for this because I couldn't decide, but this was really hard, actually. Probably the hardest one to decide. We are really fortunate in the UK. We're quite a small island. We've got loads of really good TOs spread across the country. You can do an event pretty much every weekend in the UK. And in American terms, every event's just down the road, because you can travel from one end of the UK to the other. Having people knowing the rules well.
We're gonna stop you there, Jonah, a second, because obviously I don't know if you know, but you're breaking up. Quinn, as somebody who I think of the 5 of us hasn't TO'd at all, what are you looking for when you go to an event? What are the sort of things that TOs can do that really make you want to go back to the events that they're running?
So, I mean, I've helped in events before. I've done things. Anyway.
Yeah, we need to come last.
The things I sort of look for in like an ideal TO or a good TO are, one, I think like a solid foundation knowledge of the rules is very important, just because it helps not only with the sort of more competitive players, but also just helping those newer players get into the swing of things. Like clear, concise explanation of rules as well, I think, is a very important factor in that. Also, good prizes. Good prizes are the best.
Yeah, and I think on the prize front, I think paid versus non-paid, or just table fees are obviously very, very different. But yeah, I do think having a good prize pool, and Aaron, you always do an extremely good prize pool whenever you put your events together. Norbert, as somebody who probably, I would say, out of all of us, TOs on a more regular basis because you're doing it down at the cafe. But you've also done it online as well in the TTS League. What advice could you give to anybody who is maybe watching this, maybe doesn't have a great MCP following in their local gaming store, but is looking to kind of take on that role as not just TO, but maybe advocate as well? Because I often do find that they are almost one of the same, right? The guy that's out there kind of rounding up interest for it often is the guy that ends up, running these events. Is there any advice that you could give to anyone?
Yes, I always give the same advice to get people started, and it's really 2 simple rules. Very simple. 1, settle on with the people that you know who want to play already, if you have some. Which day of the week you want to have like a regular game night, and where it's going to be. Stick to that, come hell or high water. Doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do it all the time, but every week, all the time, that's the time that people know MCP is being played, or whatever game. Then the second thing is to have it settle on a communication vehicle of some kind, whether it be, a Discord that the shop, that you're going to be playing at runs, a Facebook group or something. But you need a means to communicate and where to send people, or WhatsApp group. You need to be able to send people to that place so that they can connect with you, or they can start to communicate with the community and start growing the relationships together. So it's that consistency and a means to communicate that then will slowly build up a community very reliably. I've done it over and over again.
No, and I think that's the key thing that you've said there for anyone interested is, but you're not a one-trick pony, right? You've done this with multiple gaming systems over, let's just say, a couple of years. I don't want to say many, many years. Let's just say a couple of years. Aaron, you've done something slightly different to the rest of us on here, where we've run kind of regular events at a local gaming club, which obviously you've done. We've run kind of the one-off bigger events, whether it be in person or online, but you've actually been the advocate and brought together multiple gaming stores, haven't you, to be able to run a series of events that sort of go over a 4, 5, 6 month period with the Infinity series that we did this year in the UK. How did you find running that? And I suppose what made you looking to do it in the first place?
So with the Infinity series, it's got off to a rocky start this year, I have to admit. Originally, there was another couple of guys that had sort of I'd discussed the idea of doing a series with them. I'd come up with the name, the Infinity series, because I'm original like that, and it's not just a very obvious thing. And so we got together, decided to do this thing, and then they dropped out, and I was like, oh, great. So it's me and Tony. Then we got another shop on board. Sadly, they've decided they won't be returning again next year for the Infinity series, but what we have done is spread it out. So rather than having 3 venues doing 2 events each, we're doing 6 venues doing 1 event each, so it's all open across the UK. We're even spreading out to ProTech. I don't think I've announced it yet, but we've asked Anthony Paul if he can do one of them at ProTech Games. So going even further afield, hopefully get a good spread across the country. If people can do every event, that's amazing. If you can just do 2 or 3 of them, that's great. But ideally, it's just about bringing everyone to these different stores. If we can give people a reason to travel to one event at a different store as a group, then that's great. So if we can get a whole bunch of the West Midland lot down to Bad Moon Calf, or if we can get everyone over to ProTech or everyone at Bordy Brum, it's just a great way for people to meet people. As we said earlier, I wouldn't have been so lucky as to meet all of you guys at events. So it's all about that community building and helping everyone with that.
No, absolutely.
When's the first one, Aaron?
Say again, sorry?
When's your first one so people know when to get started?
Yeah, when is the first one, Aaron?
Yeah, one sec. Let me get the events calendar up and I'll get the exact
The events calendar that's on your website, but
It's a little bit unrelated to MCP, but I've been arranging Lord of the Rings events as well, so I've got 5 of them booked in next year. So
excellent. Excellent.
Excellent.
John, I was just going to say, John, have you got anything to add to that one?
I think really just Aaron said, it hasn't gone so well this year. I think that's disingenuous. I know there were some issues with the venues that were hosting, but you've got all of the events. They all took place, and each of those events was good. Although when you first came up with the idea, I said I love the idea of spreading it out over 6 stores. So I think that's a great idea for next year. I can't wait. I know, Dr. Norbert, you've got one, haven't you?
Dude, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean, we are with that, Aaron, this year, aren't you? We're all the way from down to London. We've got some going on over in the southwest as well, and then, as you say, you're all the way up in ProTech. So there's going to be an opportunity for everyone in the UK to take part. And I'm just going to give a shout out to some the sort of players of the UK, because I don't know if you guys notice this as well, but I can go to an event in the north and there's Norbert there, Pat's there, Cahal's there, there's the whole London crew. Equally, we can go down to one in the southwest and you'll see people from the Midlands and from the north of England. I just think it's absolutely amazing that we've got, it's not even a core group anymore, but such a large group of individuals who are willing to go and support the people that they know that they've met through bigger events, to go all around the country. I just think it's absolutely amazing, the sort of community that we've got at the moment. Bring a tear to my own eye.
Here.
Aaron, when is the first Infinity Stone, Aaron? When can we?
You can join us as part of the Infinity Series. Let me get the photo back up. Unfortunately, Boards and Swords have decided that they no longer will be hosting as part of the Infinity Series. So that would have been in February. However, now the first one is going to be in March, at Boarding Brum, where you can join us on the 11th at Boarding Brum. After that, we've got one at Curtain Games. I believe that's Marcus, who won the board and whatnot. He's going to be running that one. That's April 29th. February, March, April, May. I'm just making sure to get them in the right order. So then after that, we've got May 27th at Sanctuary Games. So Dave from there and Ron are going to be the guys behind that, helping us get that one under the way. We've got June, July. So June is the one and only Tony Moore at Element Games, returning again as part of the Infinity Series. He's done 2 this year. He's been a great help in getting the Infinity Series underway and going. So he'll be running the Soul event on the 25th of June. Then July, Norbert at the Bad Moon Calf. We're going to have your events. That's July 29th. And then, as I mentioned, hopefully Amp, who is going to be running one at ProTech Games, will either be able to replace a date in February, or we'll put that one on at the end and kick off the series in March. So we've just got to wait to hear back about that, unfortunately.
I do love, Aaron, how you've now put him under so much pressure to do it.
Right, isn't it?
He hasn't confirmed yet, but I'm going to announce it to everyone. So if it doesn't happen, guys, we can blame Amp. That's what we're saying, basically.
Exactly. I did ask him, and he was like, "Yeah, that's fine." That's what I needed. So it's doing my event now. He will do it. It'll be fine.
Let's head over to our nominations for Tier of the Year. So let's start off. And number 1 is our very own Dr. Norbert. We put TTS Season 9 there, but I think... Jonah, you put this nomination forward, right? It's not just for TTS Season 9. It's kind of for everything else that Norbert's done for the community and for the game as a whole.
Absolutely, yeah. So, not in London, obviously. I'm in Wolverhampton at the moment, but I've been down a few times to Norbert's London events, 3 times now, and to one of his Thursday night gaming nights when I happened to be there. And he's clearly built that community up really successfully. Crisis in the Cafe is a monthly 24-player tournament that sells out pretty much every month. And Norbert was pretty instrumental in when he stepped into the TTS seasons in really making them a big deal and expanding them. And then he's gone back in this season to take over from me because I've started a new job and I'm commuting at the moment and trying to sell my house and buy a new house. So I've got a lot on. So he stepped back in this season and has been really instrumental in running it. So Norbert does lots of other stuff as well, his streams, the future of the TTS panel that he had last weekend, which if you're interested in TTS, I know not everyone is, but that's well worth a watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to echo what Jonas said there, Norbert. By the way, guys, this is not a self-appreciation society. Just so everyone is, I haven't invited 4 of us on just to tell each other how good we are. By the way, just so everyone is aware of that. Yeah, the rule was we don't nominate ourselves, but one of the reasons why we wanted to get Norbert on is because of everything that he has done for the community. So yeah, I just want to echo the sentiments that Jonah said there. Aaron, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so just want to point out we've got a couple of people in the comments on YouTube just saying how it's a very handsome photo, Norbert. So more than just a great tail, a pretty face.
In my head, Norbert, that photo was taken. You were looking away from the camera. Then you turned to the camera just as it was taken.
What can I say? I'm the full package, ladies.
But no, I do agree. Let's jump into our second nomination, and this was actually nominated by yourself, Norbert, and that is Mr. Tony Moore. We've already heard from Aaron that he's helped him out with the Infinity series. I was lucky enough to be at the Spring into Marvel event. He's also done a number of other events this year. But Norbert, do you want to just share a few words about Tony and why you chose him?
Yeah, so he, first of all, he does run a weekly Friday night thing. So he's been helping to promote the game on a really local level and keeping it going and growing that community up there. So that's really important work. For TOs, it's always the grassroots that's the most important thing. A lot of the TOs do bigger things, and those are of course important and they're exciting. But it's the grassroots that feeds those big things. So it's important to note when people are doing that well. But then the other big contribution he made is where he helped push us into bigger events for the first time in MCP live, which was only possible after the pandemic. But it still was kind of a risk because I think it was probably the earliest ones. And so I'm referring to the first 2-day event that he ran here in the UK, and it might have been actually in the world, the first 2-day event that was really successful. And then he also ran the first 5-person team tournament live, which was a big deal. We had done some on TTS in the past, but this was the first one we did live, and it was loads of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to be at that large event that he ran, and it was really good. Just being able to, it was actually the first time I'd ever experienced going to a 2-day event and doing the overnighter. And whilst the gaming is, the gaming part's always fun, it's always great, but actually for me, the thing that I really enjoyed was the social side of it afterwards, being able to go for a meal, have a few beers, laugh at Quinn not being able to eat anything, all those sorts of things that make us all happy.
Enjoyable sitting there, not being able to eat chips of all things.
And I think all of us were at that Spring into Marvel event. I want to say. I think each of us was there. So, yeah, really, really well done, Tony. And I have been over, Quinn, I know you have as well, over to a number of his Friday night events that he runs.
I mean, I do literally live in Manchester.
You do live round the corner. Yeah. Cool. Next up then is my nomination. And I did get permission to use this photo, but it is Johnny Pastrami. That's not his real last name. But for anyone that doesn't know Johnny, he's been part of the community for a long time. And very quietly in the background, he has been running these monthly Lunch Meet Classic series. I've had the privilege of joining quite a few of them. I think a couple of you guys have as well. But I know one of the things that a lot of players really struggle with is just finding games. And I think every month this year, so 12 events he's run with a game every single week. And I just think that, nobody asked him to do it. He's got off his own back. He's put it out there. He's always, it's open to every level of player. He always makes sure that if there's new players, he'll reach out to a couple of other people that are maybe more seasoned and ask if they don't mind being paired up with them. He's done that to me before, not as a new player, Quinn, before you quirp. But, he said, look, we've got a new player in Rich. Would you mind if, you play the first round against him and at least talk him through how to use TTS, give him kind of an enhanced demo game.
Are you trying to spin him getting new players to play you as some sort of positive? As if that's not driving people away from the game?
I can be positive when I want, I think.
I don't think you can do it on command like that.
No, probably not. Probably not. And then our last nomination, I think we've already mentioned him as well, is David Ellis from Sanctuary Gaming. And Aaron, it was you that nominated David. So I've had the pleasure of playing there, but why's David done such a good job?
He's just an absolute gem whenever he puts on an event. There's another guy, and it's really bad because I'm terrible with names, that also helps run the events. It was really, really useful.
His name is Jamie.
He's Jamie, yes. So
Yeah,
Jamie,
Jamie.
great as well. But Dave, overall, is, the great events. You pay £6 for a ticket. I don't know about anyone, whether you know or not, but it's £6 for a ticket. You get great prize support, great tables. I've got a cafe where you can get drinks, donuts, all that kind of stuff. It's a great venue. It's one of the nicest.
Donuts, by the way.
Donuts
They're so good.
Yeah, it's one of the nicest venues I've been to. Super relaxed, super chilled, and I just wanted to mention Dave because I know Sank doesn't have a huge online presence, so I thought it'd be nice if we could at least get it out there and let people know that there is this guy putting in a lot of work running these great events at Sank, who doesn't really ask for any praise in return because he's not on many of the group chats or online a lot. So just big shout out to Dave, really.
Yeah, I know. I've been there personally. I went down earlier this year for the first time, and first of all, what an amazing gaming centre! You know, there is such a plethora and such a scale of gaming centres here in the UK. It's everything from something that looks like an old barn that is maybe just still an old barn, right through to something like Sanctuary, where it's been done out absolutely amazing. They've got a great store in there. They've got a great cafe in there as well. And as you say, Aaron, only £6.50 for a game with the price support that he gives. I think it's really, really good. Quinn, you have an honourable mention for us, don't you? We couldn't quite. We could only get the 4 in.
Honourable.
But our very own Mr. Aaron Collier, for his not just his Infinity Stone series, but the Illuminati Invitationals that he does as well. But Quinn, I'll pass over to you. Why did you want to give an honourable mention to Aaron?
Because the judge said it counted as part of my community service.
And that's good enough for me. Moving on.
I'm being nice because it's Christmas. This is like the one time of year that I will voluntarily do this. But Aaron's just good at running events. I mean, like, the two things I mentioned when we talked about, TOs and running events and what you look for, rules knowledge, which he has some of. At least he knows the 10 Web Warrior characters that he plays, and he knows them really well, and how they interact with other things. That's the extent of it, but it's there. And then, like, prizes, I do appreciate, like, the whole... It's 9 prizes that you do, I think, for the invitational events. And also, like, they're not just based on, like, performance in-game. You also do a lot of spot prizes, and also you make sure that people don't win multiple prizes if you can help it, which I do think is a very positive thing for the community.
Yeah, I'll just add in, having been to a couple of your invitationals, Aaron, the prize support element, and whilst it's not the big, I don't come to an event to win a prize. I come to an event to murder people. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. But I think the fact that you've got to a point now, Aaron, with your dance off bro and that sort of thing. You've got people that are building lists or building rosters just to compete in your little sort of prizes that you give away. And I think it's really healthy for the community because, do you know what? Not everyone is going to win an event, right? But people can do something and build a roster around going and executing a particular thing. And I really, really like that. I think it's really healthy. And I think it stops people kind of giving up as soon as they lose their first game. So I just think it's really, really healthy for the community as a whole. So yeah, Aaron, honourable mention to you. So thank you very much, buddy, for what you do.
Thank you.
So guys, tournament organizer of the year. The vote is going up. You're going to have a few minutes to get your votes in. So make sure you do. Moving on.
Did Jonah want to do a thing? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, no, I just want to put a shout out. You mentioned the whole social side of things. So there's a 2-day event in February, the York Weekender, It's being run by one of my own teams, one of mine and Quinn's teammates, and some other guys. Apparently, it's based off a War Machine event that used to happen there. I've never been to those. Norbert can probably testify.
I'm not old enough to remember War Machine.
We've got the venue from midday on the Friday. The tournament's on the Saturday and Sunday, and we've got the event from midday on the Friday. So there's going to be loads of gaming, loads of socials. There's only about a dozen tickets left. I'll find a link and share it in the chat. But I'd really encourage people to go along for that if they want to experience that social side of MCP. Because really, like you said, Rich, those 2-day events, the social side of it is just awesome.
No, absolutely.
Let me quickly add, this one's particularly special, though, because not only is it a 2.5-day event, but we have hotel space and gaming space connected, which is very rare in the UK compared to like the United States. And that makes it even more of an ecosystem over the course of those 2.5 days. So it's a really wonderful experience that's unlike any other.
No, fantastic. Yeah, and if I remember, I'll put a link out. I think if you go in the Discord, I think it's in the events page. But go on Facebook, search it as an event. It's out there, yeah, go check it out. Definitely.
Oh
okay,
God, Aaron
guys.
wants to talk.
I know. Just some funny comments in the live chat. So, John Naylor, really new to the game. Only negative about the events that he's got is meeting Jonah. So, just sums it up. If that's the only bad thing, really, the events, it's pretty good. If you ask
It's quite
me.
a big bad thing, though, isn't it?
We need more TOs to push for banning Jonah, is what we're saying. Yeah.
I mean, it's something that everyone here can relate to, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, we all equally hate you as much as the next person, John. Yeah, no, it's always good to see new players. Never good to see John. I jest. Next up, battle reports. Battle reports come in many forms. You've got the pre-recorded stuff that obviously Aaron, you've put together for us, and I know lots of people enjoy. Norbert, you've got the sort of live TTS style that you and I know I do quite a bit of as well. But I know people really enjoy watching them, and I know from my personal perspective, even if I can't watch it live, for me they're a great video to have on whilst I'm doing my hobbying. That's typically what my go-to when I'm hobbying, is to put a battle report on in the background. I absolutely love it. So the nominations for Battle Report of the Year, we have got, and I'm going to blame Quinn for this one. Quinn, I'm going to name and shame you, because
I mean, you do this regularly.
this is true. This is true. So Quinn picked his game against Norbert's in the TTS season 9
moment.
this year. What was the moment, Quinn?
The moment was Heimdall v Black Cat, like the end of the game. As some of you may know at home, Heimdall has an ability called Forfend, where when someone moves into range 2 of him, he can attack them for power. Newly flipped Black Cat has about 5 health. Heimdall's attack is 5 dice, and he can't use rerolls on it. Heimdall murdered her with absolutely no qualms.
I can't believe you're dredging this up.
Norbert, do you want to talk about your PTSD? This is a safe space, Norbert.
I don't think this channel's ever been described as a safe space.
Next up, we had. I had to bring this one up, Aaron. We had the battle report number 11 from Web Warrior Protocols. And this is the aforementioned me speedily painting my Malekith to try and get it done in time. But this was one of the closest games. I don't know for you, Aaron, but maybe the closest game of MCP I've ever had. It was right down to the wire, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was super close in the end. I wasn't expecting to be taking the Brotherhood, so having to use them last minute really surprised me. But they've got a lot of tricks up their sleeves, and they definitely did a good job of competing with the Cabal, which is always nice to see. It did end really close. I thought I had it in the bag, and then I thought you had it in the bag, and then I thought I had it in the bag, and it just kept going back and forth. And we got the result at the end that we did. It was just a really solid game.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Next up, then, guys, is going to be another one of my choices because I got to pick two for this one, and it is good friends of ours of the channel over at Ozark Gladiators, and they mix things up with this one a little bit. And I just realised we've got double me because Jonah's left. Let's just take.
We've gone from. I mean, actually, this is an improvement because we've lost Aaron's face cam.
We have lost Aaron's face cam.
Actually, that's like, you know, a great philosophical debate for the ages. What is better, no Aaron and two rich, or one rich and one Aaron?
I'm not sure.
They're both awful.
But if you haven't checked out the Ozark Gladiators, guys, I highly, highly recommend. They put together some absolutely amazing content. It's always thematic. This one in particular really stood out to me. They did it as World War II themed, so obviously it was Shield versus Hydra. But they had these little trenches running through the board, and that was the only way that you could get cover, was by being in one of the trenches. Yes, they don't always stick hard fast to the absolute rules of the game, but they do it really, really well. So yeah, big shout out to those guys. And then lastly is Midlife Protocols, our good friend Alan from up in that there Scotland. And this was
Did you just say Midlife Protocols?
Yeah.
Midlife Protocols. That's the name.
Protocol.
Midlife Crisis Protocols. Yes, I do apologise. And Aaron, this was your nomination. It was the Web Warriors versus the Sentinels, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was just wicked to see Sentinels and Web Warriors. I mean, in case you didn't guess, I play Web Warriors occasionally. Seeing them fight off against the huge Sentinels was pretty cool. I think they had Nebula in there as well against the Web Warriors, who's always fun to see because she's just an absolute menace.
Yeah, it was a really good one. It's one that I have watched whilst hobbying. So yeah, guys, I picked the winner of this one. This one didn't go out to any sort of vote, and I did pick the Ozark Gladiators, and it isn't just because of this one. This is definitely my favourite of what they have done lately, but it is the fact that they are consistently putting out absolutely amazing content. If you've ever met the guys that run it, we were lucky enough last year to have Andy and Nikki on our Christmas special. They're a great couple. They are husband and wife, but they're a great couple. You've got Andy, who is an absolute comic book nerd, and he is dragging Nikki along, but she is absolutely there for the ride. So they have some great fun together, and I would highly, highly recommend going and checking out their content. Cool. Well, we seem to have lost Jonah, guys, but we'll see.
I mean, he's
we'll see if he
there.
We'll see if he comes back.
He's literally here.
Back for a while.
He's been here for like the past minute.
There we go. Everyone's back where they should be. Guys, let's talk about crisis cards. It's something that I know I've been banging a drum about for a long, long time. Quinn, I know you felt similar. For me, the game had got to a point where it hadn't become stale, but I was definitely kind of seeing myself playing less and less and less as we got towards the back end of this year. I was being distracted by other things, whereas at the beginning half of the year, I was sort of MCP all in. We'd been calling for new crisis card packs for a long, long time. And then literally out of nowhere, they dropped the absolute bomb and gave us 22 brand new crisis cards to play with. Some of them brand new, some of them slight changes, some of them kind of as they were. Norbert, what were your thoughts on where the crisis cards were, and how important do you think it is that AMG did what they did, ready for the new year, to keep people interested in MCP?
Yeah, I think these are good questions. I actually was still enjoying the game as it was, but I don't get to play as often, so that could be part of it. Um, but I think what it came down to is they kept removing Crisis and Crisis, not, and so the number came down, and the variety hence then was coming down. And particularly the extract side, there wasn't a lot of variety left in the kind of extracts that were still left in the pack. And so it was becoming pretty clear that this would be a problem in the long run. And on top of that, then they've also gained a bunch of experience from watching people play games about what does work well with a crisis and what doesn't really work so well for the crisis. And so I was as surprised as you were, but really pleasantly surprised and also pretty overwhelmed by the fact that they did a complete overhaul of the entire crisis system. They didn't just tweak a couple of things here and there. They took a serious holistic look at it all and released practically an entirely new game as a result for us. So it's a real service to us for no cost, by the way. There's no cost. I mean, you can buy the cards next year if you want to, but they've released them already. And that just shows you the kind of commitment AMG has to the community compared to many other types of gaming companies out there.
Yeah, I've joked about the fact that if this was any other gaming company, this would be a £50. I'm not going to name and shame, but let's call it a Codex, for example. If this was to
full tome,
or a tome, yes, something like that. Jonah, how important was it for you that we got New Crisis in the game? But also, I think to Norbert's point, there was almost a knock-on effect here where a couple of characters that had caused problems in the game, all of a sudden with the sort of taking away the idea of single scoring objectives, whether it be Crisis or Extract, kind of brought some of the other maybe seen as sort of overpowered characters sort of back in line, didn't it really?
Who could you mean, Richard?
He has a doctorate.
Norbert, not Norbert.
I still think Black Cat and Voodoo probably need a little bit of toning down, but certainly the New Crisis has brought them down a peg or two. I actually voted a specific Crisis to this. I voted Paranoia Pummel's Populace. I haven't played it, but I voted it because it's genuinely a new Crisis. Now I know a lot of them are new, but have the same name, so they kind of exist in name only. I played Sword Base last night, which is really different to the old one, for example.
That's 4 points now, right?
Yeah, and it's not all or nothing. It's really fun, actually. It's great, the new Sword. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, we've been calling for New Crisis for ages. The last box that had a Crisis in, I think, was Ancient One, which was like a year ago.
Gambit and Rogue.
Gambit and Rogue, yeah.
Which was start of the year, though, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been calling for a new Crisis, and Paranoia Pummel's Populace is actually a brand new Crisis, and it's a new name and everything. I think the Crisis shake-up in general has been brilliant. I didn't like the all or nothings. I didn't like the single extracts. I didn't like rolling 374 times to find a fucking scroll.
There's your one F-bomb, Jonah, and you've used it on the scrolls.
So yeah, I think it's a great change. I think it's really shaking the game up. I think it's a real positive. It shows AMG are listening. So yeah, all round very happy with the New Crisis. I can't wait to get playing some more of them and seeing how it shakes out. I'd made Brotherhood roster, and then a couple of days later, the New Crisis came, and I was like, I don't know what to do now.
I do like that it is a little bit of a reset, right? All the and let's be honest, probably present company included, all the guys that knew the exact measurements, so you'd turn up to a real life event and go, oh, actually, with a medium base and a short move, you can't pick that up. You're 7 millimeters short.
Actually, I can tell that this mat is not regulation length because my Mysterio has not reached the middle objective.
But I like that we've had a little bit of a reset on that. Aaron, what were your thoughts when you saw all of the new sort of extracts and
I imagine it was my autistic meltdown.
So when I saw that announced new Crisis, I thought, oh, okay, we're going to have 5, 6, 7, maybe even 10 new ones. Actually, they just changed everything, and I went into proper like panic freak mode because I only have one roster. I've only ever played one roster. I was like, oh my god.
It's convocation, right? It's convocation. Because that's what you said this time last year.
Yeah, how's your year of convocation gone, Aaron?
Wonderful. But anyway, so I was so stressed out. And then I checked. I was like, oh, most of mine are the same. It's fine. It's okay. I don't think any of my secures changed at all. And one of my extracts changed, really. So after getting over the initial shock, I was like, oh, this isn't that bad. And then reading through the changes across all the missions, as soon as I got a chance, I made note of everything that's changed on each mission. And I do just think overall it's very positive for the game. John, I know you said you feel Black Cat and Voodoo might need a bit more of a nerf. I've played 5 or 6 games now with Black Cat, and she just doesn't feel as impactful anymore at all. She just doesn't feel like that bogeyman of a character that she was. Because there's never a situation where it's like, ha, I got the scroll and I'm off. Like, she's stealing 1 point, and there's generally more points on the board in almost every game anyway. So I do think it's inadvertently sort of sideways nerfed those characters and had a really positive change on the game state overall. Something we're desperately crying out for was at Crisis Pack, and I've just been pretty chill knowing that it was on the way. So once we got it, it was just good to see, and I didn't have to worry too much because I've just got to find one new Crisis. So
Excellent. Quinn, we've spoke a lot, haven't we, about paywalls on the Bugle and other things, and having Crisis cards in character packs. Do you think it's lessons learnt now from AMG? Do you think moving forward we're going to see an end to that, and whereby the characters are what you're paying for and maybe some cards attached to them, but the fundamentals of the game, the objectives that we're playing, they're going to stick to these separate packs so they become more accessible to everyone?
I think so. I think, like, with effectively the past year, ignoring the January release of Rogue and Gambit, that seems to be what they're going for. Like, we haven't had any, like, Crisis cards in packs for almost 12 months now. Seems like that's where they're going. I think that's a positive thing for the game. I do wonder how often we're going to have new Crises introduced now. I imagine maybe we end up in a cycle of alternating years between character update, Crisis update, that sort of thing. We end up getting into that flow. As for the new Crises themselves, very happy we're getting rid of single like extracts. Also seems to be more of a blanket thing that characters can only hold 1 extract of a type, ignoring cubes and hammers. And also, just to echo Jonah's sentiment, Fox Scrolls.
When it comes to release of Crisis, Quinn, I'm just really glad that we won't have to say, oh yeah, you need to buy Rogue and Gambit if you want to scoundrels for your web warrior.
It makes the $3 challenge videos a lot easier.
Yeah, do you know what? It does. And I do want to talk about that accessibility because I think it's really important. Quinn, we haven't put it out yet, but we talked about Shatterpoint. I know a game that at least the vast majority of this, at least 80% of this call is looking forward to.
I mean, Aaron has never seen a Star Wars. So...
That's my point.
2 or 3 of them.
Brilliant.
Okay, Aaron does not know how many Star Wars he has witnessed.
9 of them, and I've watched The Last Jedi. I've watched the one with Darth Maul.
Oh my god, you poor person.
And I've... that might be it.
You watched just all the bad ones.
But my point was going to be is that I do hope it's something that AMG as a whole take into their games now moving forward. That we do, Jonah, to your point, somebody doesn't have to go and buy a £40-50 box to get a single card that they want.
Yeah, the value of a box should be the miniatures within the box, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, we have had your results, and they are indeed in. So just a quick reminder for Tournament Organizer of the Year. So we had Johnny Pastrami, we had Tony Moore, we had Dr. Norbert, and we had David Ellis. And as you guys can already see, I don't know if it's because he's here or if it's because just
It's
may
because
be
he's a massive
the
internet
nicest.
celebrity. He's got clout.
I think he may be the nicest man in MCP, and it is Dr. Norbert. The people have
kind.
spoken. So well done, buddy.
It's really nice. Oh my god.
Utterly deserved. You know, again, echoing what Jonas said, you made, I know way back when I reached out to you about joining the TTS League for the first ever time, you taught me through everything that I needed to do. You made it very, very easy for me. The sort of help videos that you've put out there as well for new players coming into the game is really, really good. Or coming into the game to use TTS, I should say. So, yeah, really well done, Norbert.
I figured out
really
why they
well
voted
deserved.
for Norbert. I figured it out. It's the damn smolder in that picture.
He does
Like
have
just
some.
the sheer like sexual energy. It's clearly permeated throughout chat.
He does have some damn good smolder, doesn't he? He has some damn good smolder going.
Someone's
on.
suggesting I should become the next Doctor Doom. I could get on board with that.
I mean, I'm still waiting for the Norbert OnlyFans. You've been promising it for like months now on stream.
Yes, it is coming. We just a few subscribers away, and then everybody can enjoy that.
I mean, it's what the people want, Norbert. That's all I'm going to say. It is what the people want.
Patreons for scrubs. I know the OnlyFans.
I've just realised something. I've just realised what you were on about earlier, Rich. I ain't going to say anything, but this in memoriam video that's coming up, I've just clocked on, so I've just realised, like,
Guys, well, as Aaron has just spoiled it, what would an award show be if there wasn't an in memoriam section? So for anyone that doesn't know what an in memoriam section is, it is basically taking a look back at the year of everything or everyone that we have lost. And I thought I would put one together for MCP. So I'm just going to ask Aaron, go on.
Just quickly, someone said, no, but you look like Jason Statham's nicer brother. I thought that was so funny.
No, but I would take
Statham.
that. I would absolutely take that. I'm just going to ask the guys on with me now just to mute themselves just while we play the video. We're going to take a really quick 3-minute break while this is playing. But yeah, I hope you enjoy our in memoriam video for MCP for 2022. Pretty crazy, but yeah, I mean, yeah, he's gone.
His mother the same as look how they massacred my boy.
And yeah, there we go, guys. That is everything, and indeed everyone that we've lost during 2022. I had so much fun.
We haven't quite lost Legion yet. It's not till summer 2023.
I had so much fun putting that video together, and it was the fact that I had Jonah messaging me of all the other things for Aaron. And it was like, have you done this yet? Have you done this yet?
I'm disappointed L didn't get put in there for his tragic passing to tragic to saddening.
Yeah, L nearly made the cut, but unfortunately I ran out of
Rich
time.
is lazy and wouldn't put in my suggestions.
This is true. This is true. I lost my car keys. Does that count? No, I don't think it does, Omnifan. Guys, I will put that up. Made with MS Paint, Ocelot. It was all made with MS Paint. For anyone that doesn't know, all of the graphics that I use on my channel are genuinely made with Microsoft Paint. I own Adobe Premiere and pay a fee every month for my video editing, but yeah, everything else is MS Paint. But yeah, talking about things that we've lost, guys, is there anything that you think from when we had the kind of swap around with the cards, the sort of rotation, is there anything you think that AMG took out that maybe didn't need taking out, or has had maybe a positive impact on the game, a negative impact on the game? Aaron, I'll start with you. Is there anything in particular that you... I know we did joke the time... What was the Web Warriors card we all wound you up about saying it had gone? That was quite funny.
We all said that all webbed up was gone when it
that was it, all webbed
web
up,
barrier.
Yeah.
No, that was cool. I don't think there's anything they've got rid of that should have stayed as such. I think it would have been nice if we'd have seen reimaginings of Wakandan Herbs and the evacuation mission, Panic Grips. I think it'd been nice if we'd have seen them sort of brought back into the game rather than just sort of fading out. But other than that, I think it's all been sound. This highest rated Web Warrior thing's propaganda as well. It's all fake news.
Shall we go on to Longshanks right now, Aaron?
No, we don't need to do that.
I'm going to do it anyway.
No, but what about yourself? Is there anything that you think was taken out of the game that, as you mentioned, as Aaron mentioned, either you'd have preferred to have seen a reimagining, or are you happy with the decisions that AMG have made?
I think the only thing I was unhappy about was how confusing the symbol system is. So that it's not good for new players. Thank God we have the mcpdb.com website that helped me figure out which ones are not legal any longer. But beyond that, I think it's actually been good. I mean, it limited a lot of healing in the game, a lot of extra movement in the game, and so that's changed gameplay. This is the kind of refreshment that I hope to see a lot, because I feel like one of the biggest problems that miniature games have that I haven't seen solved very well yet is as they grow, they just get stuff layered on and on and on, and they become bloated as a result, to the point where they kind of implode. And so doing something like this, or even something a little bit more radical, I wouldn't mind seeing, because it just changes the game up so much and keeps things fresh.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a good counterbalance to taking things away, maybe it'd have been nicer to see a slightly condensed timeline between when they took things away and then gave us new things. But I think balancing the taking things away, but then going, oh, but by the way, guys, here's 22 new Crisis cards for completely free to play. That's the way you do it. That's the way that you build loyalty to your game and keep players interested time and time again. Jonah, is there anything sort of that got taken away, or maybe even didn't get taken away, that you thought maybe needed looking at?
Well, I'm actually going to say two things that I think have been taken away, that it's good that they were taken away. One I've already mentioned, Crisis cards in boxes. but also just generic tactics cards. I think this year we've really seen the push towards boxes, just coming with cards for the models in the box, or sometimes for the affiliation. So Black Swan and Supergiant came with the leadership card for Corvus, for example. And we've seen a real push away to that. So a bit like the point Quinn made, the box is for the models and all the things that go with those models, and the generic cards, like there's a new Brace for Impact with Pyro and Blob. Well, you get that in the core set, for example. You don't have to buy Blob and Pyro for it. It's just alternate art. So I think that shift away and the loss of generic cards and crisis and boxes is a really good positive thing.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. We literally had this conversation yesterday, Quinn, didn't we, about Shatterpoint, and I think, Quinn, you've said it already, but making the value of the character packs being the characters, the plastic, the things that we like to play with, plus cards that are associated with them, and removing this need to go and buy a £65 box because it's got field dressing in it or whatever it may
your
be.
reasoning behind buying a box should be for the main focus of the box, not like some tiny ancillary thing that's in there.
No, absolutely. Aaron, you got something to add?
Yeah, just to quickly rewind a little bit to people's comments in the chat, because I just think they're hilarious. One of the things that we're apparently losing this year, according to Daniel Clark, was Quinn's hairline. We've slowly been losing that. On top of that, I just wanted to ask, someone called Chewy89 in the chat has said, what's this Ghost Rider thing? What's this deal with losing Ghost Rider?
Right. So, for those that
make
know...
him say it!
For those that know, they know. But this was a TTS League game that I played against Rookie Boy.
It was Rookie Boy, yeah.
Yep, great player. I think came over to the team event. Norbert Jonah, yep. Really, really nice guy. Really good player. I was kind of in good control with my Guardians roster. And then he managed to daze my Ghost Rider. And then the very next turn, or the very next round, he had priority. And he used Mystique. But threw everything into Mystique. So used Thanos to buffer and put... I think it was Deal with the Devil. Is it Deal with the Devil that takes away... Not Deal with the Devil, sorry. What's the one that takes away stealth and rerolls and things like that? Yeah, Mark for Death. Yeah. Onto Ghost Rider. Did the Spender of Mystique, Espionage, I think it's called, and one-shot my Ghost Rider. And there was a moment where I was cocky and was like... My two-threat rocket is going to mean that I get to bring Ghost Rider back fully healed. And then
like Icarus, he flew too close to the sun.
I realised, and it's been an ongoing. Whenever I've done live battle reports, whenever we've done the Bugle, it's been an ongoing joke. So I thought it wasn't fair me putting something in there about Aaron and not putting something in there about myself. Quinn got off very lightly, by the way, people. Legion, the end one was going to be replaced by something different to do with Quinn, but we won't go into that. Yeah, Quinn, to round things off, anything that they've taken away, they've not given us, just general state of that. How are you with that at the moment in terms of what they've done for us this year?
First of all, my hairline isn't receding. I just have a very strong light on this area of my head. There is hair there, I promise. With regard to stuff we've lost this year, positive and negative, I'd like to hold a moment of silence for Climbing Gear, the card that made it into every roster I played. Gone, sad. Gone but not forgotten. Gone but more forgotten is Extreme Conditioning.
Yes.
It was the lesser sibling to Climbing Gear. Things that I think have generally been positive for the game, like having lost, I do think, all you've got, big one, I feel. Getting rid of all you've got rid of a lot of sort of that stronger character just completely popping off, removing any and all clapback your opponent might have for maybe a round, maybe 2 rounds, maybe it ended up killing multiple characters. If you've had a good round 1, go on, Aaron.
Someone in the comments says he's not accepting it. Every time he's met you, it looks like your hairline's going back to school.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, it was strange, wasn't it? I don't know if everybody else feels the same, but there were some cards that I very rarely saw, that predominantly from the core box plus a couple of others, where I was like, they're out of rotation?
Yeah.
And my initial reaction was like, why would they take them out? They have no impact on the game.
Why
And
would
then I
they
kind
make
of-
disarm restricted?
Well, but then I kind of thought about it. I was like, well, okay, have they just recognised that they, on the surface, may seem like good cards, but actually have no impact on the game? So are they actually just taking them away because they realise that they're not good cards and they're not having an impact
If
on the
that
game?
were the case, why is 1-2 punch still in the game?
That is very, very true. Okay, guys, on to a big one now, and it is going to be Player of the Year. All of these were nominated by the co-hosts that I've got on today, and basically what I asked them to do was look at an individual, and it could be a Player of the Year for any reason. Being good at the game is only one aspect of, for me, what it means to be a good player. A good player could be somebody who has just progressed, right? From the first time you saw them play to the last time you saw them play, they've come on leaps and bounds. It could just be an individual who is an absolute delight to play with, win, lose or draw every single time you play against them. So we've got 3 nominations for this one. I'm going to start out with somebody who should be no stranger to anybody in chat, but it is Mr. Pat Dumford, who I've had the pleasure of playing against multiple times now, at least once, maybe twice in person. I actually think at the Spring into Marvel event. Aaron, I know you've played him many times. Quinn, you have. Jonah, you have. And I know Norbert, the individual who did nominate Pat, has played with him before. But Norbert, why Pat? And other than being an amazing player that we know he is, why Mr. Dumford?
Yeah, so yeah, exactly for those reasons. It's beyond what he is good at the game that I think makes him stand out. He's a big contributor to the game. He's been doing his podcast, and he also helps put together a Discord server, which is across the Bifrost that I'm talking about. So they have a podcast that's been going on since before the game was released. The Discord server community, and he's just such a pleasure to play, regardless if it's a new person or if it's somebody extremely skilled. He always has the same sort of charismatic, happy approach to what's going on around him. And he comes to a lot of, he goes out of his way to go to a lot of events external to the country and around the country as well. So help to promote the game that way. So I think there's just a lot of different contributions he does on top of being just a fantastic, having a fantastic ability to play the game.
Yeah, just to add to that, a absolutely amazing player. He's the one I dread, and I'm sure everybody else is, right? Whenever we go to an event, he's the one you dread. You don't mind playing last round against him because you lost to Pat in the last round, right? It's expected, but you don't want to start your day off with a loss to Pat because it's downhill potentially from there. But we've had him on the channel before. Aaron, we actually did what I thought was a really good roundtable session, me, you and Pat, talking about sportsmanship in the game and how it was important for individuals who are, maybe prominent, okay? Whether you've got a podcast, whether you're seen as a good player, whether you run a YouTube channel, you do a blog, whatever it is, you do that and you put your head above the parapet. And for me, you become an advocate for the game. And I think one of the responsibilities that we all have when we do those sorts of things is that we make sure that we bring the sort of the sportsmanship to the table and make sure that whenever we're playing a game, again, win, lose or draw, we make sure that the opponent has a good experience of that. And I thought we had a really, really good roundtable session. It may have even been last year now, or no, it was earlier this year because it was after Spring into Marvel.
Yeah,
And that was really good, wasn't it? Aaron, as somebody who's played against Pat, you've appeared in a video with him. Have you got anything else to say about Pat that Norbert hasn't already covered off?
Great player. I've only ever played him once. Just want to say, hopefully we get to play again at the York weekend, which I'm now coming to. I think there's two people. There's two people I've ever played that I've not beaten, and Pat is one of them. So I'm going to have to play again.
So you can get beaten again. So you can get beaten again.
There's none of that old sword-based shenanigans now. So hopefully me and Pat get paired up again. I'm sure it'd be a great time and a great laugh. He's genuinely really great guy, and as you said, I think internet stigma and build-up can, lead you to have this mad perception of people. But Pat is genuinely lovely, super clear, super easy to play against, knows the rules in and out. Do you know what I mean? Like the back of his hand, just absolutely golden. So yeah, big shout out to Pat. Really, just a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to play him. Jonah, as one of the, I believe, maybe only people on this call. No, but I can't speak for you and what happens on the regular Thursdays. But I know, Jonah, you've played Pat and have actually managed to beat him in a game, which is
to me in my vote of confidence,
which is an experience none of us have had.
Wow.
So we've seen how gracious he is in winning. How gracious is he in defeat?
He's lovely, as Norbert already said. The point I was trying to make about Pat is he's actually infuriatingly nice. Because, I am fortunate. I've managed to beat him twice in games, but I've also been on the end of some real panellings from I think the last time I played him at a London event, he was playing Criminal Syndicate and we were playing Legacy, and I realised far too late what was happening, and the Rube Goldberg machine just assembled in front of me. But you can't dislike him. He's just so lovely. Like, I hate you so much. You just can't dislike the man.
And back to that sportsmanship thing. I think I was playing him. It was my Guardians versus his Guardians. Obviously, his Guardians were significantly better than mine. I don't know if it was his Guardians or him, but I remember there was a point in the game where I'd moved a character forward, done something, and moved them back. It may have been Star-Lord with hit and run, and I'd moved him back to the back point, and I hadn't made my intent clear, but it was kind of clear with what I was doing. I moved up with Star-Lord, I took a shot, and I moved back to secure the back point. And even though I never said it, when it came to actually scoring for that round, I measured and I was out. I mean, it was minutiae out, but I'd not done it right. And Pat's response to that was, "Rich, is fine. Like, your intent was clear. I saw what you were doing. Like, you're only 3 millimeters out. He clearly had the ability to get there and back because he was contesting that point before. Absolutely fine." And at this point, it's not that he said that at the end of the game when he knew he'd already won. It was still quite tight at this point, and yet he was still willing to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. So, yeah, hats off to Pat. He is, as you guys say, not only a great player, but an absolute gent of the game as well. So, a big shout out to him. Next up is Mr.
I guess I won't talk about Pat.
Well, he beat you.
Well, yeah, I mean,
16-0.
actually, I remembered an occasion in which I actually beat Pat during a pickup game. Thank you very much. I just want to describe Pat very quickly as intimidatingly upbeat, because
it's a good description there. I think.
It's just terrifying because you're like, why are you not like a cantankerous, grumpy bastard like every other gamer? Like this feels wrong. Why are you smiling?
I mean, it's all true. It is all true. Next up, a player for at least people outside of the UK, or at least out of that Midland scenes, may not have come across before, but definitely an absolute gent to play against. and that is Mr. Dan Humpage. Whilst scrolling through his Facebook profile to find a picture, felt like I found the most appropriate picture of him ever, which is maybe last Christmas or the Christmas before, when he picked up the actual corset. But Aaron, you were one of two people actually who nominated Dan. What made you nominate Dan? Pardon? Well, you'll find out in a minute, won't you?
That's crazy. Yeah, so I did nominate Dan after a very generous bribe from. In all seriousness, I did nominate Dan. Again, another geezer I'd never met outside of Marvel events, probably because he'd lock his car and drive off if he seen me in the street. But that's not the point. He's an absolute pleasure. I love Dan, and when I first met him, I didn't know how to take him. But he's grown a lot as a player, because I know he used to get a little bit salty occasionally, sometimes the games he did. I had my first ever game with him. Web Warriors can be very hard to play against, and they can shut down a lot of things. I know he didn't enjoy it as much, but since then, I think he's come along so much as a player, in terms of the social contract, how he interacts with his opponent, sort of the way he is with people in general. Honestly, he comes across sometimes a bit offish, but the guy would do anything for anyone. Absolute gent. I know a lot of people rib him and take the mick a little bit, but I've just genuinely, it's been a pleasure to get to know Dan. Even though I found a rat in his fridge, but that was really weird, and we can't talk about that. Literally found a rat in his fridge. That was a bit crazy, but yeah, just honestly really glad to have met him. He comes to all of my events. He's even brought his offspring with him now, Kian, who's also a lovely lad. Really good to see him at the event. So I just wanted to put forward Dan. I didn't think anyone else would be crazy enough to do it. So who knows, man?
Well, I've met Dan a couple of times now at the Illuminati events down at Boarding Brum, and yeah, he's just a nice guy. I've only ever played against him once, and it was a pleasure to play against him. That's what you want from an experience. Again, going back to that sportsmanship, going back to that win, lose or draw, you want, at least I want, both people to walk away having a good experience. And Dan epitomises that. Jonah, as the other person who nominated Dan, what was your reasons behind it? Anything over and above to add what Aaron's put in there?
Yeah, a few reasons. I was going to mention what Aaron said as well, actually. I don't think Dan would mind us saying that he did used to be quite salty. And we sort of said to him, you can't control the dice. There's no point getting irate at them. And he isn't really anymore, or certainly no more than any of the rest of us. I think, I consider myself someone who is extremely chill with dice, but even I sometimes get frustrated by them. So I think that's one thing. But also, he's just a really good player for the community. He goes to lots of events. He goes to Sanctuary. He goes to Element. He goes to Boarding Brum. He goes to Bash. He's been down to London for Norbert's event. So he really does go around to a lot of the events. He just plays what he likes. And he has been playing a lot of Malekith. So I think Malekith. But he played Dark Dimension for ages. He's played Asgard for ages. He just plays what he enjoys. So, no one begrudged him playing Malekith. Unlike when Rich picked him up and everyone was like, oh, for God's sake, the power gamer. When Dan was like, I'm playing Malekith, everyone was like, okay, you play what you like and you've played the third MCP. So you crack on, mate.
No, that's fair enough. Aaron?
I've just got to say, you say nobody begrudged Dan for playing Malekith. Anthony Poole has got such a mad beef with Dan. It's so hilarious to watch the two interact.
I think that may be something to do with Anth just telling me that he's unsubscribing.
But yeah, Dan, he just takes the biggest models. I don't know if it's like a height complex. He just takes huge models and just loves it. But then he's got the Sentinel,
Yeah, I remember. I think the last event I went to with him there, he was playing Dark Dimension with Malekith in it. You're already at 15 threat from your leader and your second character. But yeah, guys, the go on, sorry, Quinn.
Oh, it was me. Sorry,
Oh,
Rich.
sorry, Jonah, I do apologise. Yeah.
I was going to say it wasn't Aaron's last event. It might have been one of the Infinity Stone events. But me and Dan faced off in the first round, and we had a total of 5 models on the board between the two of us.
20 threat.
That was glorious.
We played
Oh,
16.
don't say 20 threat and low model count. You're giving me flashbacks to like Mag's time reality.
It was
God,
Dormammu and Malekith versus both Hulks and Captain America, weren't it?
It was, yeah. It was.
That
so
sounds
brilliant.
utterly crazy.
It was brilliant.
And the third nomination. Yes, we have 5 beers in now, apparently. The third nomination is a good friend. He hasn't been on the channel before. We're trying to get him on. He refuses to do it, but he goes by many names, but Mr. Big Ron Walker. I'm going to start talking about Ron. Not only is he a great guy, he's a guy that will do anything for anyone. But for me personally, I love Ron's approach to the game. There are players in this game that are absolutely amazing. They will play a single affiliation for a period of time. I do this myself. And they'll churn out the games and they will become very, very good at playing one affiliation Web Warrior protocols in the game, right? And that's all they play.
Don't you mean second best?
Second best Web Warrior protocols. Ron is the guy that turns up to an event with Black Bolt and Inhumans and wins it because he manages to do things and manipulate things in such a way that he just gets really good results from them. His understanding of the game and the intricate interactions between various characters and what they do is really, really good. And just on top of that, as I already mentioned, he's just a nice guy. Do not let his stature put you off from running up to him and giving him a big hug, because he'll love it.
I mean, he
Aaron,
definitely won't. He does not like people.
he'll murder you.
He don't.
I want to see people die, Quinn. Aaron, you've known Ron probably more than I think anyone on here has. Just say a few words about him.
Big, angry, scary. But yeah, Ron, he come down and see me yesterday because, otherwise he wouldn't have seen me before Christmas. So he come down, we jammed some games at mine, and then, we also got a game in the board in Brum. I absolutely love Ron. Absolute legend. He's very similar to me. We think about things very similarly and have a very similar outlook on things, which is quite surprising. And we probably both need locking up in a mental institution. But he's just class. You can see him at most Marvel events. And I think he does come across, because the geezer's huge, like 6'9", and nearly half wide. Look, he's like a big, massive geezer, and he bless him. He can come across a bit offish, but honestly, once you speak to him, he's absolutely lovely. He will genuinely do anything for anyone. I mean, I know right now, if I needed something, I could ask him and he'd do it. And I'm pretty sure all you guys that were on this video with me as well, he'd do the exact same for all of yous. And probably, for most people he knows, he's just golden. Absolute soldier.
He's just chauffeur, isn't he?
He is also Aaron's chauffeur as well, yeah.
He absolutely blags my head, though. The way he plays different affiliations is just insane all the time.
Well, I mean, he is almost a yin to your yang, Aaron, isn't he? In terms of you're half decent. You're almost the best Web Warriors player in the world.
He does try, bless him.
But he is, Ron is the first guy I know that, when a new affiliation comes out, he's like, I want to make these work. I want to make these work. Quinn, since we brought Ron over to the dark side and introduced him to TTS, you probably played more games against him than anybody else. What's Ron like to play against, whether it be competitive or non-competitive?
He's just a good laugh. I mean, I don't know whether other people, like new people, get that out of him as much as maybe some of us do, but he's a funny bastard when he wants to be. Ron is one of my favourite people. Like, I'm probably the person I talk to most. I think I talk to him more than I talk to you, Rich. which is
Thank
like
God for that.
sort of
To be fair,
shattering
we
the
are now
illusion of the channel.
we are now sharing joint custody of you. So yeah, that is.
I mean, yeah, like you've all said, Ron, he always wants to make the new stuff work. One of my favorite things about Ron is like his insight into characters and design, because also Ron has a lot of comic knowledge as well. So like, we had Ulick revealed like earlier today or yesterday. It was yesterday, wasn't it? And I immediately went, Ron, who the fuck is Ulick? And he was like, oh yeah, it's this guy who does this. And it's like, oh yeah, it'll probably be this for the, like, in terms of like the game and all this stuff. And he's just good to chat to. Like, as you mentioned, he is very intimidating. But equally, he's slightly less intimidating when he's wearing a shirt with my face on it.
Oh, do we have a pic? I need to try and find
you a picture of him with the shirt on, if you would like.
Well, actually, me and Aaron knew all about this beforehand.
I supplied the photo.
Yeah, he supplied the photo. He sent it to me and went, "Do you think this will be a good idea?" And I was like, "Absolutely yes."
There's a photo of me, Ron, Quinn, and Quinn isn't the Quinn.
I'm gonna let Jonah talk about Ron for 2 minutes just whilst I find this picture because it is utterly amazing.
I'll try and send it to you.
I don't have loads to add. Actually, I think you've covered those. I think, Rich, actually, something you said. I think it was when we went for the Chinese at Spring Into Marvel. I think you said, we know some really good MCP players. So Aaron, obviously, Pat. But you said that you think that Ron is probably the person who's just best at the game in general, just because of that way you can switch affiliations and just make things work so quickly. I think that's a pretty good point.
I do. I think that's his big thing is that he, and this is no disrespect to Aaron as a player. I mean, I would put myself in the same category of I pick an affiliation and I grind out the games and I make myself better. Pat's been playing Guardians for a long time, whereas, Ron, I think he just does, he seems to just be able to pick up an affiliation and just make them work. I'm not sure how he does it. I'm not sure why he does it, but he seems to be able to do it really, really well.
We mentioned the social contract as well, and Ron is just chill as hell. I remember I played him. I think it was at Spring Into Marvel or one of Tony's other 2-day events, and my Enchantress one-shot his Sorcerer Supreme with a 5+ energy attack, and he was just like, "All right, okay, let's move on." Also, let's just say welcome, Big Ron, to Team Bold and Beautiful.
Yeah, boy!
Yay! There you go. For anyone who's wondering what we're talking about with Ron's t-shirts, I'll just share this with you all now.
I have sent you an image of him wearing it as well. You can't really see it, but it's there.
So this is the t-shirt that Ron now wears almost as his mascot to most of the events that he turns up for, which is utterly amazing. For anyone that is to answer a couple of questions, no, this is not Peter Kay dressed as his Britain's Got Talent winner. This is also not Quinn's mum. This is actually Quinn. Which...
This is Quinn circa 2016, I believe.
Makes me smile so much that this is Quinn. Okay.
Quinn, in that photo, you look like, Family Guy?
Yeah.
You look like if you mix Peter Griffin and Lois together. That's what he looks like.
No, I've got like Meg's haircut, but then like Chris's face, right?
Yeah, you like all of the Family Guy family in one.
I'm not sure that's a good look, by the way.
There's a reason I changed it.
If I'm being brutally honest, I'm not entirely sure that is a good look.
Is your hair's receding, Quinn?
There's a spinny thing.
People can't see it yet, Aaron. You can see it. People can't.
Wait a minute. And he claims he isn't ginger. I'm clearly not ginger in that photo. I've got very brown hair in that photo.
Oh, he is ginger. He is 100% ginger in that photo.
Only another ginger can call a ginger ginger. You
Tim
are not
Minchin.
ginger. Believe it.
One of my favourite comedians of all time. Guys, we are quickly going to do, whilst you're all voting, please all vote. 33 of you in the chat, all vote for your player of the year. We are going to do the giveaway for the Weapon X Rivals Pack, I think is the official name of it.
The stupidly expensive box with a plastic rock in it, yeah.
This is true. This is true. So basically, anybody who
Talk about
has...
paywalls.
Well, yeah, talk about paywalls. Anybody who has submitted an entry for the weekly painting competition, whether you've won, whether you've got an honorable mention or not, if you submitted an entry, you get an entry into this prize draw as well. We had an amazing kind of like, it was hundreds and hundreds of entries in total, but you only get one. And do you know what, guys? If you'd left the Discord, you're dead to me, so you don't get an entry. So everyone whose name is whited out, you don't get anything. So let's quickly go over to my Wheel of Destiny, and we will spin it, and we will see who the lucky recipient is of the Weapon X box that we are giving away. So good luck to everyone. And we'll see who is the lucky winner.
People that have entered the painting competition or our patrons.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
And it's going to be Lism. It might be Liam. I was doing this in a rush. If you're Liam or Lism92, then congratulations. Yeah, you are the winner of our giveaway. So you
this
get
is clearly Lizam, my favourite Marvel character.
Lizam, yes. You get the prize. However, guys, I did mention we were going to do multiple giveaways as part of this. So,
to drink.
I nearly just kicked my beers over, by the way. We also have, I have a spare Rivals panel.
I'll take
So-
that. It's
So let's just spin it again. And the winner will get the Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man Rivals panel. It's Christmas. Oh, Zoa. I thought it was going to be Quinlan Voss then. I thought they were going to get it. So congratulations, Zoa. Reach me at the back end of the channel.
oh yeah,
You'll get that.
Zoe is my alt account. You can just send it straight to me.
Nope. And lastly, we have got a Black Bolt or Medusa pack to give away. I think this was a Medusa box, yeah. I think this was an unclaimed prize from a previous one.
Yep,
So
you get a Medusa model, and then you get 3 spare bases that you won't put anything on.
And no tactics cards now. All crisis. Oh, Danny was in the chat as well.
oh, I know. So Deadwoods, well done. You get yourself a pack. Well done to all the winners. Thank you to everyone who entered, but submitted their painting competition entries. We thoroughly enjoy it every week, Quinn, don't we? Going through and looking at
We
who's
do enjoy
painted
like
what
the
and
half an hour of bickering as to who wins.
yeah. No, but one of the things I forgot to mention as part of the TO pack was I have a Hell to Pay pack that I will be sending down to you. So if you want to run an event night down at the cafe, you're going to have these Hell to Pay packs. I think there's like 6 left in there, but definitely enough to have like 12 guys down and play some games. It's a really, really fun one. So yeah, that'll be coming down to you guys. So make sure you go down to the cafe. What's the name of the event? Sorry, Norbert, that you run them at.
The venue. You want the name of the venue?
Yes, yeah.
The venue is called Bad Moon Cafe, just
that's
a
the
little
one.
bit south of London Bridge.
Excellent. So yeah, that'll be working its way down to you. So hopefully in the new year you can run some Ultimate Encounter nights as well.
Royal Mail, you'll get it by the start of 2024.
That is also very, very true as well. Because yeah, they are not good at the moment.
If you bulked up a carrier pigeon on steroids, you would get it there faster.
This is true. This is true. Guys, I wanted to give another award out for this one. This is one that I've picked myself. Maybe in future years we will put this open to the vote. But as well as recognising players who have been in the game for a while and know the game inside out, I also wanted to recognise a new player of the year. And there are so many people who you could look at for this. I want to mention Liam from TTS last season. Last season being 8, not 9. Unbelievable player from up in Scotland, and so many others. But there's one guy who's part of the Patreon, who joined in February to the Discord, and whose first ever game was unfortunately for him against Quinn. As part of the Patreon event that
He
we
got to
run
play a
every
fellow
month.
countryman. Thank you very much.
But this player has come on leaps and bounds. He's been part of our Patreon from almost day one. He's joined every single event that we've done. And Quinn, I think it's fair to say that the player that he was when we first met him versus where he is now is very, very different, isn't it?
Yeah. He's definitely he's taken the game head on, he's tackled it, and he's definitely learned throughout that process and become a better player for it.
Yeah. So you guys on Discord may know him as the Unlucky Gamer, but his actual name is Matthias Lazou. And when I was scrolling through his Facebook, this is the picture that I found. And it's the one that definitely resonated the most with me. I thought it was quite funny. But yeah, Unlucky Gamer, I know you probably won't be watching because you are in Australia. But again, please reach out to me. We will have a prize for you. It will probably be in the form of you going and buying something and me giving you the money, because shipping to Australia is just not worth it. But yeah, really well done this year. You've absolutely come on leaps and bounds in the game. So yeah, really, really well done. Guys, we are going to take... Oh, Jonah, sorry.
I was just going to say, it's a pleasure to play as well. I've played him a few times. I played him last week, in fact, in a different league. And we got a draw because we got into a position where we couldn't settle it. I had Quicksilver with 2 hammers. He had New Wolverine with 2 hammers and a long move because he had the dossier. And we just kept going around in circles because we were on equal scores and none of us could commit.
In my head, there's the Benny Hill music happening. That's happening, Jonah. It's like...
So I played him, I think, 3 or 4 times now in your league and in some other leagues, and he's an absolute pleasure to play as well.
No, he really is. He really is. And again, back to that sportsmanship side, he's oozing in it. So yeah, really well done, Matthias, or Matt even. Guys, we are going to take a really quick break. Don't go anywhere because we're going to be talking about 2023 wish lists next. So give us 2 minutes. We'll be right back and we'll see you in a second. Okay, guys, welcome back. We just need to take a really quick break. So, guys, on to one of my favourite parts, which is wish listing. We've seen some teasers of characters that are due out early 2023. We've already had Rhino fully released, but we just got quite recently Beta Ray Bill and also Ulik, which I want to give a shout out to Swedish Troll, by the way, who I want to say like over 2-3 months ago called out Ulik as being one of the characters that he wanted to see in the game. So yeah, big shout out to him for that.
I like to think that AMG designed and produced Ulik in the span of those like couple months.
in between that, yeah. But 2023 wish listing. We'll come on to the big wish list afterwards. But Norbert, starting out with yourself, is there any character? Is there just anything from Marvel that you're looking forward to potentially being implemented in the game come 2023?
Well, I'm taking a look back at what I wrote here. Let's see. Right. I do like the idea of Rhino coming out. Rhino, I think, will be really interesting from a game perspective because he clearly can't be like Juggernaut, but has kind of a similar feel to it, Juggernaut. And so I'm really interested to see how the designers put him together. And also, he'll be in Spider-Foes, presumably, and that will make that affiliation really exciting again. I'd like to try that out. And the model just looks boss again, so I'm looking forward to that. But beyond MCP, I'm very curious about what the Shatterpoint rules are going to be. So I'm looking forward to those too.
Don't you mean the Legion Slayer 5000?
Legion Slayer 5000, yeah, absolutely. No, I do agree. I think, in particular, the model of Rhino is, I think, it might be my favorite model that we've seen so far. I just think the pose is, talking about comic book moments, that pose and that model just captures a comic book moment so well. Aaron, we've already had Moon Knight last year, so is there anything you're looking forward to in 2023 in terms of releases?
I'd like to see Mr. Knight and Mark Spector. And no, in all seriousness, I don't really know. I'd like more Spider-Man, but I think that's a bit obvious. So, like Spider-Man 2099. The big one for me would be Iron Spider. So, like, because Web Warriors, I don't feel like they have a super aggressive character. I think it'd really be like out there for them to have one. I just think instant kill mode, Iron Spider, just as like a 5 threat, and it's like, oh, he doesn't do much control, but he kills things. That'd be really cool.
Somebody's been watching the MCU.
I know. I've watched my first Spider-Man movie. No, other than that, I think symbiotes, man. We need more symbiotes. We've seen Agent Venom. I am pretty gassed for that, I can't lie. I want to see. So, AMG, I'm pitching this to you now. So, there is a symbiote that's called Hybrid that is a combination of 4 other symbiotes. So, I want to see an 8-threat hybrid that, when it's dazed, turns into 4 2-threats. I don't know how you balance it, but I want to see that, and it turns into all the subcategories.
I think the answer is you don't.
I mean, I for one am shocked that you haven't mentioned any convocation characters.
I mean, yeah, shocked and appalled.
I'd love to see some more symbiotes. So, in all seriousness, maybe a symbiote affiliation.
No.
Maybe a null.
Maybe a null.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Just be class for me. Be what Dormammu was meant to be. But yeah, moving on.
Jonah, what about yourself? I think last time, Jonah, you spoke about Spider-Foes as being this time last year. You spoke about Spider-Foes.
Oh, but we had so many great Spider-Foe releases, didn't we, Jonah?
No, I didn't talk about Spider-Foes. For stuff we know that's come in, the Crisis Pack, obviously, I think that's a great addition. I love Rhino as well. That model is awesome. For stuff that I want, it's the same that I wanted last year. Yeah, so like Aaron, I want some more Spider stuff. Definitely Miguel, Spider-Man 2099. Superior Spider-Man and Silk are my 2 other kind of most wanted Spider releases. but I just want more cosmic stuff still. Maybe Beta Ray Bill is pushing us towards that. But I want like Moondragon, I want Philavel, I want Adam Warlock, I want Brain.
Yeah,
And I
Adam Warlock definitely.
I
I
mentioned these
cannot
last year.
believe you haven't mentioned them.
Cosmo.
Yes! Cosmo!
Yeah, so I mentioned these last year, but some of my favorite comics are Annihilation and Annihilation Conquest. They're like really, really good cosmic stuff, and there's so many good characters in there that I just want us to get. So hopefully some more cosmic stuff.
Cool. Quinn, other than Odin, because you're not allowed to say Odin, because you've said it enough this year, other than Odin, what do you want in the game?
Odin. I mean, we've already mentioned Cosmo. I really want Cosmo. Cosmo's like my favorite cosmic character. They are the real bestest boy.
Oh.
But I'm gonna go for one that I think might be more likely this year than I think any other year, and it's something that people have been asking for a lot. It's motherfucking Doom. It's the fourth. It's fourth year of the game. Fantastic Four for the fourth year. That's logic words. Yes.
It does feel like it's a glaring hole, isn't it? Having Marvel's first family not in the game.
I don't care about the first family. I just want Doom.
No, but I think they come hand in hand, right? They are one into the other. But yeah, not having Marvel's first family in the game, I suppose a little bit like what we've had in the MCU, where they haven't been in there yet. They're going to be introduced. We've kind of had a little sneak peek of one of them in an alternate reality. Who said what?
I said spoilers.
What, for a film that came out 6 months ago?
What film's this?
Don't worry, Aaron. It's not come on to my first film yet. But yeah, I agree. I would like to see them. If I had to pick any, and I did say this on a podcast with Alexa last week, that I think it's coming out tomorrow. So spoiler, it's Apocalypse. I just think Apocalypse would be amazing in this game. I'd love to see what they could come up with in terms of how they would do his 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I just think it'd be absolutely amazing. Let's dedicate the next 4 minutes giving all of us who care about it, Aaron, go take yourself off, to talk about Shatterpoint very quickly.
Should we just make it so it's everyone that isn't you and me, Rich, considering we have a whole video dedicated to this coming out soon?
We do. Jonah, Shatterpoint.
Yeah.
What's getting you excited about that game?
I've kind of been Legion adjacent. I've never played it, and I've looked at it, and partly I haven't played it because our hobby's expensive enough, and do I need another miniature game? I like the smaller scale that Shatterpoint is going to be played at in terms of the number of models. Obviously, AMG is a known quantity. MCP is a fantastic game. The miniatures are almost universally excellent. On one hand, the MCP miniatures I don't like, and I like all the Shatterpoint miniatures that have been revealed. I hope the terrain they've shown is a little cheaper than the MCP stuff. I think maybe they will be able to price it cheaper because it'll be more central to the game. I think more people will pick it up than perhaps picked up, the Weapon X box or the Cosmic Terrain for MCP. I've been a long-term fan of Star Wars. I convinced my wife to start watching Clone Wars. I've watched that first
Well
season.
done.
I mean, I convinced her to marry me, so...
I mean, to be fair, anything's game after that, Jonah, right?
But yeah, I've watched the first series and a half of Clone Wars before, and I've never watched past that, and because it's just not very good to start. But all of the nerds I respect are like, it does get really good.
Don't worry, once you get to that Umbar arc, boy.
It gets better and better and better and better. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm replaying Jedi Fallen Order at the moment. I'm ready for the new one to come out, so I'm just generally excited about Star Wars. I love the IP. AMG is a trusted quantity. They've said that elevation is going to matter. So I
Apparently
cannot
so,
wait for
yeah.
endless opportunities to say I have the high ground.
I mean, one of the terrain packs is called High Ground, right?
know,
I mean,
brilliant.
kudos to that.
This was like when they did the session on Mini Stravaganza about tactical basing.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to rock up to like a game at a Shatterpoint event to like, you know, whoever, and just as I approach the table and we both like sit down and stuff, just go, "Hello there."
Ewan, little ginger friends, aren't you?
Everyone
Little
has
ginger
to say
friends.
General Kenobi. It's the law.
Norbert, Shatterpoint, as a TO coming into it, brand new game, how do you approach that? Is there enough buzz around your sort of local gaming store, or is it one that you think you're going to have to educate people on? What are your thoughts on Shatterpoint and what it'll do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think a lot of people are just like Marvel. Some people are attracted immediately because it's from their favorite IP, you know, so we'll hopefully get some of those kinds of folks in there. I think a lot of the MCP people, because of the good experience they've had with the developers, are looking forward to seeing what the mechanics are going to be like. So I think there'll be a few people who will be interested straight off the bat. And then it's really just a matter of, you know, how well the game is executed and how well AMG supports it to see the growth of it happening.
Yeah, and I think if what they've done over the last 2 years with redoing old cards, especially from the core box, with introduction of brand new Crisis cards, again, all completely free of charge. I think I feel a lot more comfortable now with them taking over that franchise in this game than maybe I did when they first did it. You know, one of my big things has always been that they're a small studio and they now have arguably the two biggest IPs in the world in terms of just what they are. But I think they've proven to us that from MCP, they're not just in it to make a quick buck or try and maximize the money they can make. That's obviously a big part of it. They're a business, and I don't begrudge them that. But I think they've shown us that they are going to treat these IPs with respect, and that they're going to treat us as players in the community with respect, and make sure that they do a good job overall. Aaron, anything to add on the Shatterpoint front?
I'm actually really looking forward to Shatterpoint. Yeah, I don't need to have watched all of the movies. I've watched enough. I've watched some Clone Wars stuff. I'm looking forward to Dooku and some droids because I've got a Legion army that is Dooku and some droids. And I just love the sort of design of the B1s and the B2s. It'd be cool if we get a droidica, but I don't know if we will. Maybe a Magna Guard, maybe a Commando droid.
Commando droids, yeah.
Yeah, Commando
Well,
droids.
Magna Guards are confirmed.
We got Magna Guard.
Yeah, Magna Guards come with Dooku.
I do know.
Yeah.
Shows how much I've looked at that. No, but I'm genuinely excited for it. Aside from Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth and Tragic the Saddening, it's going to be another game that I hopefully can play a lot of, get some events myself where I can go to them and maybe even run some more Web Warrior Protocol Shatterpoint events because, you know, why not? I think it'd be a good laugh. And if there's a community there for it, it's always great to help grow it.
Maybe you need to branch out and it'd be like Murakami protocols or something like that. I don't know. Just as a
Jedi Warrior Protocols.
Jedi Warrior protocols, yeah. But yeah, I think 2023, you know, for anyone who is, you know, into AMG and what they do, I feel like we're in good hands. I think they've proven that they at least are listening, and, you know, it takes time. And I think they probably heard the rumblings maybe 6, 8, 12 months ago around Crisis cards, and all the things we've complained about they've addressed, or at least most of them in terms of that. And I do think, or at least I hope, it will be lessons learned, and they'll implement that into Shatterpoint. And let's just take a moment to, you know, respect all the Legion players who still think that is the first ever a Star Wars miniatures game. And I had somebody message me and go, how can you talk about Shatterpoint? It's going to murder Legion. Why on earth do we need to? Why on earth do we need 2? And I educated them on the fact that Imperial Assault existed, and what do you want to do about it? So yeah, there we go. Let's go to the Player of the Year. So just a quick recap: we had the lovely Mr. Pat Dunford, the great Dan Humpage, and everyone, everyone's big Ron, a big cuddly Ron. You guys voted on it, and the winner of the Player of the Year is Mr. Big Ron. It's probably worth taking a moment to explain where this picture comes from. This was done by Ron's wife, who I believe, Aaron, think she's an artist by trade, right? That's what she
So
that's what she
Loz
does.
is she's not necessarily an artist by trade, but she's now trying to be a tattoo artist. Loz is at the minute.
That was the one, yeah. And this was one of his birthday presents, wasn't it? Which is, as soon as we saw it, so if everyone was you could probably gather that by this, Doctor Strange is Ron's favourite character, and this is Doctor Ron Strange. I don't know how we define it, but yeah, well done, Ron.
Strange.
Stephen Ronathan Strange. There we go. Real big shout out to you, Ron. Always a pleasure to play with, buddy. We will at some point in 2023 have you on the show. We need to. It might need all of us. For my next part, I was going to say drag him on, kicking and screaming. I think I may need some assistance with dragging him on.
Awesome.
But yeah, well done, Ron.
We'll just lay out a trail of Doctor Strange paraphernalia that he'll follow, and we'll trap him in a cage with a camera.
Yeah, have you got a cage that big? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, the ones that when people swim with sharks that they put in the water. We can find them. They can't be that expensive to rent for a couple hours.
No, probably I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. He's a big boy.
You protect the sharks from Ron, can't they?
He's a big boy. Guys, to round things up, this was a bit of a last minute thing that I wanted to do because there are so many people in our community that give so much to it, and whether it's somebody from your local gaming store who has taught you the game and helped you along your way, or whether it's a TO that runs big events. So earlier today, I reached out to the Discord and asked for some nominations from the community for individuals who have helped them this year in Marvel Crisis Protocol. And I think I put this out at 3 o'clock. It was a really last minute thing. Let me just change screens a second. It was a really last minute thing, and I expected that I maybe would have got one or two through. I had about 50 nominations in the end through, some of which I still haven't got to, which is absolutely amazing. And I can't go through them all and name them all. Well, what I have done is looked at all those nominations, and there was one name that came up time and time again. And when I first thought of this award, it's really weird because this was the individual who I was going to just put forward myself, but I thought it'd be nicer to actually put it out to the community and let people put their nominations forward. But so many people put this person forward as their sort of individual of the year. I've called it the Rich Mid Award. It's maybe a little bit pretentious. I'll maybe change the name of it, but it's a little bit
Nah.
But it's just somebody from the community who we want to recognise. And as I mentioned, of the 50 or so that we had through, I think at least 10 or 15 of them were for this individual. I want to talk a little bit about him first of all. He took his gaming community from nothing to, I'm going to say, thriving. He's done a really good job with it. He's an absolutely amazing person to play against. He's always willing to help out with anything that you do. Aaron?
Just want to say as well, whilst we're on about it, he also has one of the widest and most accepting sort of outlooks and personalities out there. Not to, if that sort of makes sense, he's very understanding, very welcoming, and very accommodating of everyone around
He's
him.
very empathetic.
Very empathetic, yeah. He's very. That's the word. We can use that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I think I think the first thing on his mind when he approaches a game is not how do I win this. It is that sportsmanship thing. Is like how do I make sure that both of us have a good experience when we play this game. So the rich. It sounds so arrogant for me to say this, but the Richmond
Will you hurry
Award.
up and just give me my award?
Oh, this is awkward. One person did nominate you, Quinn, and then
Well,
I realised that your mum had slipped into my DMs.
Oh,
And slipping,
like I've slipped into the actual winner's DM. Mum's DM.
slipping into his mum's DMs is also something that you can also do. But this year we do want to give the award to Mr. Marcus Gill.
yay.
An absolute advocate, not just for the game, but for the community as a whole, for sportsmanship. You know, we saw some of the amazing boards that he puts together. Jonah, you mentioned there that he doesn't just build the boards, he goes above and beyond. He puts a little pack together so everyone knows what it should be. But yeah, just an absolute great asset to the community. He's done an amazing job down in the southwest of building that community of MCP players up. Jonah, do you want to say anything about Marcus?
I think we've probably covered everything, haven't we? Absolute gent game. Has to travel a great distance to go anywhere to a local event because he lives down in Exeter. He's coming up for the York Weekender, so Marcus has crashed at my house before, so he's met my wife and my kids, and they like him very much too, and he's coming to crash again, ready to go up to York.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I don't know if I'd let him in my house, but he's Marcus. I'm only joking. No, but you played against Marcus a little while back, didn't you? In a game. What's your takeaway from Marcus and what he does for the community?
It's fantastic. I mean, he's just so open and warm-hearted. Like you said, concerned about other people's enjoyment of the game as much as playing it himself. And we've had some really interesting games, and he's been on my show as a co-host a couple of times, and he's fantastic. A little known fact, maybe he used to do stand-up comedy, and so when he was on the show, it was great because he had great banter as a result of that skill set. So, man of multi-talents.
He is indeed. Quinn, anything to add?
Me and Marcus just vibe. He's a chill dude. I like Marcus. The Quinn seal of approval, which is worth nothing.
I actually think you've just devalued Marcus as an individual.
Marcus,
yeah,
no longer getting
we've built him up, and then
sorry.
You've just dropped him down. Aaron, anything to add other than what you've already said?
Not really. Just the absolute asset to the community, really. The boards he makes are amazing. The way he encourages and puts aside his own needs. For example, he was called on to TO at a tournament very last minute that I'm aware of recently, and he just willingly does it. Just more than happy to help anyone. He's been just very welcoming, very accepting, just a great geezer all around.
No, I do agree. And from a personal standpoint, as I say, I managed to play Marcus whilst we played online before, never actually managed to play him in a real game, and had that pleasure down at Element Games this year, and we had such a good time playing the game. It almost felt like the game that was happening that we were playing was almost the sideshow, and us two having the conversation was kind of the main event, which, if you can walk away and the game that you played wasn't the most important thing, for me at least, that's a win in my book. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, well done, Marcus. Well deserved. I've got your details, buddy. So I'll sort out the card for you, and we'll get that over. Guys, we are slightly over time. I did say between 2 and 2.5 hours. So we are still within that time limit. Is there anything else you guys want to add? Any words of wisdom, Quinn? You can probably leave, Quinn, at this point. Any words of wisdom that people that people want to add in for where we are at the moment, or any sort of parting thoughts? Jonah, I'll start with yourself.
Well, really, just say thanks very much for having me on, Rich. It's been a pleasure, as always. Some really well-deserved winners, and I think there's so many people we haven't even discussed on this show about favorite players, favorite TOs, etc. That just show that the depth of the community that we have in the UK. There's so many other people we could have talked about. Not Quinn. I know he's pointing at himself. Although Quinn is my teammate. I'm just
You're contractually obliged to be somewhat nicer to me than other people are.
That's not true, Jonah. I did double check the wording on it, and it's not true.
Oh, you found.
You
the
can
fucking
give him
loophole,
as much
didn't you?
shit as you want.
yeah, I'm looking forward to 2023 and the events. I'm going down to Norbert's first event on the 14th of January. We've got the York Weekender. We've got Spring into Marvel again. Nations is returning. We've got Aaron's Infinity series. There's so much MCP to look forward to in 2023, and I can't wait to see everyone in real life, have some games, hopefully play some people that I haven't played. You know, I go to a lot of events, so I played a lot of the same people now, and I tend to measure how good an event has been by how many new people I get to play. So looking forward to meeting new people, playing more games.
No, fantastic. Aaron, anything from yourself?
Like on my screen, it looked like he genuinely skipped Quinn there, which is quite funny.
I did.
Yeah. Any advice, any words? Don't eat yellow snow. It's been snowing recently. That's a bad idea. Yeah, Jonah surmised it really. Just if you're not already getting involved in 2022 with the events and the communities that there are out there, please make sure to do it in 2023. You know, there's that many people around now that you can play, that many ways to get into the game. Please don't feel shy or be put off by, you know, mine and Quinn's mugs. Just jump in. It's a great community. There's
Like
great.
you didn't single out Rich in that.
He'll kick me out the call, wouldn't he? Yeah. You know, there's great content creators. I've never been this involved in a game before, ever. Never played a game competitively before. Never made any content before. So I'm absolutely loving this journey with Marvel and meeting all the other people. Someone mentioned the York Weekender. It's early in the year. I reckon that's going to be like one of the biggest events of the year. So if you can make it to that, make it down. And make sure
also
to
make your decision quick. There's not many tickets left.
I just checked actually, literally now. There's only 13 tickets left.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, try and get over to that and get involved if you can.
Get there early. I'm going to be there midday on Friday, ready for some board games.
Ooh,
Or get there
board
late,
games.
because then you spend less time in Jonah's presence.
No. I am down for some early board game action, Jonah. So.
Unfathomable, mate. Traitor Games.
Club confirmed.
I love Traitor Games. I've just bought. I hope my daughter won't watch this. She couldn't care less about what I do on YouTube. I just bought a game called Selfish for my daughter for Christmas, but the Marvel edition. Look it up; it's really good. But I'll bring it, Jonah, for the York event. It's really good. Norbert, any parting words of wisdom that you can bestow upon us?
I'm looking forward to welcoming all the Legion players to MCP when Shadow drop later on this year, next year.
I think we should include them.
They need a home. We need to welcome them. No, but seriously, actually, Rich, you've had a fantastic year of content. Your channel has grown and is so reliable in terms of how often it comes out and the quality of the material. So congratulations on that. You and Quinn both been putting a lot of effort into it, and I hope it really grows even further next year.
Oh no, but thank you so much. And by the way, that was not paid for advertising, by the way, just for anyone who is concerned. But no, thank you, no. But no, that's
a massive briefcase of money I can see in the background of Norbert's video.
There we go. No, it could be a briefcase of money.
It came this morning, Rich. Good timing.
But no, on a serious note, thank you, Norbert. It is really appreciated. And you know, to Aaron's point, I've played lots of games before. I've never felt compelled to ever be involved or as involved in a game as much as I am with MCP. I've never created content before I created content for MCP. I think Aaron, you were in a similar position as well. So yeah. I think just laughing at Swedish Troll. We know Rich doesn't pay people for content. Look, Quinn gets half a Malteser every week. Right, for his input on.
Surprised it's not like a peanut M&M that just would kill me if I ingested it.
But no, my point being is that I think it just shows how good not only the gamers but the community around it, because one doesn't work without the without the other. You can have the greatest game in the world without a community, and it'll fail. You can have the best community in the world with a not great game, and it fails. And I think we've got a really good mix. Quinn, not
Can
that
I
we
make one
haven't.
last point?
Yeah, no, but absolutely.
Yeah. Just if you fancy more games, but you can't get out or you don't have players near you, I encourage you to join the TTS leagues. That'll be picking up again next year. We'll be doing 3 seasons of leagues there, and it's a lot of fun. The mod is super easy to learn and slick. I have a video on how to play it, how to use it, so you can watch that on my YouTube channel as well. But the point is that it's a great way to try out new stuff, or if you just simply can't have local players for whatever reason, it's an outlet for you to play people from literally around the world. So.
And I will second and add to that, Norbert, in that I've made some. I have been introduced to and met people who I now consider good friends, who I have never met in person, and it's because I've played them over TTS, and I've joined them on there. I want to give a quick shout out actually to some of the other content creators out there who I think you guys should go and check out. If you haven't checked out HPP Wheelhouse Party Protocol, I've been on there once or twice. I know Aaron, you've been on there. I think some of you guys have been on there as well. He does absolutely amazing work. Again, met him through playing this game, been on his show, never met him in real life. Lexa from the Morlocks podcast, who unfortunately couldn't join us today, but again, put some amazing content together. Absolutely go check out that as well. Nate from the Gamers Guild, he's kind of been there from day one, does an absolutely awesome job, so go check that out. And we've already mentioned Pat, but also Pat's counterpart, TT from Across the Bifrost. Not only do a great podcast that's now available in video form, but also provide a great central kind of nexus or hub, if you like, for every other content creator to upload their content to, and have it shared across the platform as well. So yeah, Quinn, last but least, by no means least, sorry, last but by no means least, anything to add? Every part of me wants to ask this question and wait until you talk and press end stream, but I won't do it, I promise. Anything to add? I know the urge inside Aaron is unbelievable, but Quinn, anything to add?
I'm just going to sit here and let you stew with that urge and see what wins out.
I think I'll win.
I know,
Quinn,
I don't know whether you or the urge wins.
Anything to add?
Been a great year. We had a bit of trough towards the end of the year with MCP. Thankfully, that's been revived with the release of the new Crisis Pack. Some adjustments that were needed to a certain big bloke called Keith. It's also just been a lot of fun doing more content on the channel. Like, I sort of started appearing on the channel last year, but now we've sort of cemented the weekly Bugle as a thing. I think moving it to live shows has been a massive improvement because we get the chat interactivity. It's been a lot of fun. Can't wait to do Shatterpoint content.
Yeah, definitely. And Quinn, thank you to you as well. You are my unpaid intern. Can
I technically put this down as job experience?
I think it's one of the nicer things, but yeah, I think overall, somebody described it the other day on one of the live calls. There's been an up and down of MCP, but I do feel like we've ended on a big high. I think I'm going into 2023 now, thoroughly excited about all of the events that I can attend, both virtually and also, more importantly for me, in person as well. And I hope everybody else at home feels that way as well. I want to thank Jonah. I want to thank Aaron. I want to thank Norbert, and Quinn's literally contractually obliged to be here, so less of a thank and more of something else. But no, a big thanks to you guys for taking your time out and joining me on this. I've really enjoyed doing it. I think it's been really nice to recognise some individuals from the community who have, I think, really gone above and beyond and made the difference, and actually have probably made MCP the success that it kind of is today, because without those individuals out there in their little pockets, we wouldn't have the success that we have. So thank you to all you guys for joining me today. It is really, really appreciated. That's it now. We're done for 2020 or 2022. I don't know what happened there. And we'll be back at some point early doors in 2023, hopefully talking about how Adam Warlock is the new leader of the Guardians.
There is one more video coming out, I believe.
We do have one more video, yes. And it is actually, I did say in that video, this is the last video, so that's fine. This is the last live video. But yeah, Jonah, Aaron, Quinn, Norbert, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your input. Thank you for your recognition of giving people. Thank you for giving people the recognition they deserve. Really appreciate it. And I am very much looking forward to another year of MCP in 2023.